The week began with a strange mix of confidence and caution inside the Dallas Cowboys facility. Coming off a dominant Monday Night Football win over the Las Vegas Raiders, the team walked into Week 12 with momentum humming through every hallway of the Star. But beneath the excitement, a surprising headline landed early Wednesday morning. Dak Prescott had appeared on the first injury report of the week. The listing felt like a tremor across Cowboys Nation, not because the issue was severe, but because any mention of the quarterback's health sends instant anxiety through a fanbase that has lived through far too many seasons altered by untimely injuries. Head coach Brian Schottenheimer quickly stepped in to calm the noise, explaining that Prescott was simply banged up, dealing with a minor hip issue that surfaced after the physical Monday night matchup. The short week had removed the usual rest day, which meant even small aches showed up on the report. Still, he insisted Dak would handle his full workload and nothing about his preparation for the Eagles' game would be compromised. And as cameras captured Prescott later that day, helmet on, eyes locked, moving through drills with the same smooth mechanics and sharp footwork, any lingering doubt faded. If Dak was hurting, he hid it behind the calm confidence that has carried him all season. While the quarterback's appearance on the injury list had stolen early attention, the real story of the day came from the defensive side of the ball, where optimism grew like a sunrise. Veteran defensive lineman Solomon Thomas, who had been working his way back from lingering soreness, was a limited participant, showing clear signs he was trending in the right direction. Even better, Perrion Winfrey, whose explosive preseason had earned him buzz as one of the Cowboys' most promising young defensive tackles, was a full participant. His return brought a new layer of excitement to a defense that had spent the last few weeks quietly reshaping its identity. The depth was becoming real. The interior was becoming powerful. And for once, the injury report felt like a blessing instead of a warning. Jadeveon Clowney and Dante Fowler were on the list but participating. Malik Hooker and Donovan Wilson were present and progressing. Tyler Smith was being monitored but not restricted. Every name that appeared came with hope attached, not doubt. The message was clear. Dallas was getting healthier at the exact moment the season demanded it most. That urgency came from the looming showdown against the Philadelphia Eagles, a rivalry game that has never been just another date on the schedule. Dallas versus Philadelphia is emotional, physical, historical. It is the type of matchup that shapes playoff brackets, divides fanbases, and defines seasons. With the Cowboys pushing to tighten the NFC East race and the Eagles fighting to maintain their grip on the division, Week 12 had transformed into something bigger than a regular season contest. AT&T Stadium was being prepared for a battle layered with narratives, revenge for previous losses, statements of legitimacy, and the pressure of national eyes watching. At 4:25 p.m. Eastern Time, Kevin Burkhardt and Tom Brady would be in the booth. Aaron Andrews and Tom Rinaldi would roam the sidelines. The entire football world was preparing for the collision. Inside the Cowboys building, the importance of health was becoming a theme that echoed through every meeting and walkthrough. Dallas has lived through seasons where key injuries, Sean Lee's hamstrings, Tony Romo's collarbone, Tyron Smith's back, turned promising campaigns into painful what-if stories. But this year felt different. This year, the roster was beginning to align at the perfect time. The defense was forming a personality built on relentless pressure and interior dominance. The offense was finding balance with Prescott's command, a rejuvenated run game, and receivers playing with precision. The locker room chemistry was strong, the coaching staff unified, and the energy around the facility felt purposeful, not chaotic. As Thanksgiving approached, bringing another short turnaround game on the horizon, the Cowboys knew that Week 12 was not just a checkpoint. This was a directional moment for the entire NFC East. A win would tighten the race, shift momentum, boost confidence, and position Dallas as a true contender entering the final stretch of the season. A loss would complicate playoff math and place even more pressure on the Thanksgiving matchup. With the Eagles preparing intensely and the Cowboys steadying themselves through the noise, every detail mattered: the injury report, the rest cycles, the recovery sessions, the film study, the mental focus. When the final injury report surfaced, it read like a breath of relief. Dak was fine. The defense was strengthening. No player appeared in danger of missing Sunday. The fans, hungry for a turning point, could finally relax. And as the Cowboys stepped onto the practice field for the last full session before the showdown, the air carried a mixture of seriousness and belief, an understanding that Week 12 was an opportunity to shift the entire NFC East conversation. From Prescott warming up with a loosened hip and tightened determination, to Solomon Thomas digging into the turf with renewed energy, to Winfrey exploding off the line like the preseason star everyone remembered, the Cowboys approached Sunday not wounded, but ready. Ready for Philadelphia. Ready for the moment. Ready for the fight that could change every. The night George Pickens walked into the stadium to face the Raiders, nobody expected the performance he was about to deliver. The Cowboys had seen flashes of brilliance from him all season, sure. Explosive yards after the catch, contested grabs that felt almost unfair, a physicality that made corners question their career paths. But this game? This game was something different. It was a masterpiece. A full-on, emotionally layered, violently graceful work of art from a receiver who has spent the last 10 weeks telling the NFL he's coming for the crown. And while Cowboys Nation celebrated the win, something bigger was brewing behind the scenes. Something far more complicated than a highlight reel or a box score. Dallas might soon be forced into a crossroads that fans hoped they'd never have to face, choosing between CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens in the years ahead. Jerry Jones didn't even try to hide his emotions after the game. He talked about Pickens like he was watching an opera unfold, the kind where the music builds, the lights dim, and the audience forgets to breathe. Jerry called Pickens' performance poetic, even a ballet. But beneath that praise lay a storm of cap concerns, contract timelines, and long-term roster implications that are already starting to swirl. Pickens is sitting at 908 yards and 7 touchdowns through 10 games in Dallas. That production is elite. That trajectory is superstar territory. That kind of output forces decisions. Dallas can tag him. Dallas can pay him. Dallas can gamble and trade the wrong guy. Whatever happens, the next 2 years might define the future of the franchise more than any single player can. But for tonight, Pickens refused to make the moment about himself. He credited his teammates. He praised the offensive line. He talked about spacing and timing, and he shrugged off his raw dominance like it was just another day at work. Meanwhile, he was stiff-arming defenders out of their cleats and dragging half the RA. He was stiff-arming defenders out of their cleats and dragging half the Raiders' defense for yards after the catch like a man possessed. But Pickens wasn't the only monster unleashed in Dallas. Quinnen Williams walked into his Cowboys debut looking like one of the best defensive tackles on the entire planet. It wasn't hype. It wasn't projection. It wasn't optimism. It was fact. 4 tackles. 1.5 sacks. 7 pressures. And a defensive line that suddenly looked like it had grown a new spine, heavier, nastier, more suffocating. Williams didn't just plug gaps. He destroyed them. He didn't just pressure the quarterback. He collapsed the entire pocket. Teammates like Jadeveon Clowney were already talking about domination for the rest of the season, about a level of physical warfare that Dallas hasn't consistently lived in for years. If this is the new identity of the defense, fast, violent, suffocating, relentless, then Monday night might be the moment we look back on as the turning point. Amid all the chaos, emotion, and brilliance on the field, Dak Prescott delivered something even more powerful once the game ended, a message rooted in heartbreak. The Cowboys are still reeling from the